If you want to support the channel, please consider becoming a member today. Members get early access to videos, access to all the stream VODs, and exclusive access to emotes as well. So if you'd like to support the channel, become a member today. Big Papa Fascist, who, like I said, I did not even realize this was him at first. Let's see. This is a 6-hour-long video, which we are not going to be watching all 6 hours. Sorry. I think we'll just start with this one. Are you a feminist?
I tried my best. I'm sorry, XQC, I'm sorry. Okay, so I want to go around the table. This is related to your statement about you're feminist, but you have traditional elements. We'll maybe touch back on that. Going around the table, do you consider yourself a feminist? Starting with you, go ahead.
Oh, I will need a definition of that.
A lot of definitions going out
Unless somebody
tonight.
else wants
We want
to start
men
first.
and women to have equal rights.
Equality.
What type of rights? Like civil rights?
Jesus Christ.
All rights.
I don't want men and women to be equal, no.
Oh, you don't?
No, not like that. I think that's why we're attracted to each other, is because of our differences.
What? So right off the bat, she's asking a really stupid question. What's the definition? What kind of rights? Obviously, we're talking like legal and social rights, generally speaking. Civil rights, yeah. Men and women can be different, but still be equal under the law.
Some type of dynamic going on.
I can get behind that. Okay.
I think for the most part, yeah. But there's some things I like a little more traditionally.
Okay, I'll come back to that. What about you?
I would say actually similar, feminist, but a lot of traditional values.
Okay.
The term feminism, like, I don't think it's as intersectional as, I don't know. I wouldn't consider myself a feminist. I think that, I don't think I'm more or less than a man. I don't think a man's like more or less than me. I think we're like yin and yang, but I mean, I think we need equality for women in other places. Women need more uplifting. So I do believe in some principles of feminism.
Okay.
But I wouldn't call myself a feminist.
If feminism is like equal or equality between men and women, then I would say yes, I'm a feminist. But I'm more so like equal opportunity.
Okay. Sure. What about you?
I would say definitely not.
That's feminism, by the way. Yeah, equal opportunity. Who are these people? What?
Only because the principles of feminism are not required, especially for anyone sitting at this table or anyone in this, like in our society at large.
Andrew, are you a feminist?
Well, not only am I not a feminist, but with the exception of the nice lady who brought cookies, all of you are feminists. Every single one of you is a feminist.
You think so?
All women.
How do you
well,
tell me what I am? I'm curious.
What would make me more feminist?
And I just want to say, not like that, but feminism came around a time like suffragettes and stuff when, like, I'm a black woman, so white girls weren't even working, and then they wanted to go back to working, so they're like, I want to be a feminist. But like me 200 years ago, like, that wasn't really the same. Like, feminism wasn't really the same for me, so that's why I don't identify with it. So I feel like, not like that, but I'm not a feminist because my people always been working.
Well,
so.
Let's start with what you think feminism is.
Well, what do you think it is? You just call me a feminist.
Well, so I think I can demonstrate this pretty easy, right? But let's just start with what you think it is. What do you think it is?
I mean, feminism started as like women wanting to be equal, so wanting to be able to like get jobs, be able to like leave the house, go work, you know, have more rights.
So which of those values do you disagree with?
Well, I mean, I disagree.
This is painful already. This is hurting me.
Feminism was never really for me as a black woman because we've always been working. Like, we never had the option to like.
This is a harmful mindset also. This is just if feminism began primarily focused on like white women and wasn't as inclusive as it could have been, doesn't mean that it's still not for you as a black woman. That's a pretty sad and kind of dire way to look at things.
sit back and then decide like 50 years later that we wanted to go back.
Yeah, but
to
which of the
working.
values
I'm
that you
answering
just
the
stated?
question.
Yeah.
Wait, if I can just add to what you're saying, very early feminism was actually very racist. So you actually
Yes.
do make a good
That's
point
why
that
I
early
don't-
feminism
I don't
was
call myself that.
they wanted the I don't want to I could be
It's literally a fallacy called the genetic fallacy, in which you say because something started this way, it must still be that way. So that's why it's bad or something. You're doing that right now.
off here. I think they wanted to secure the vote for white women.
Yeah, Planned
But
Parenthood,
not-
all that stuff. Margaret Sanger, all of them, they were eugenicists. They were not for
Not
me.
true.
So
Okay.
for you to
Lies.
sit and tell me I'm a feminist, it genuinely.
Margaret Sanger, that letter that people oftentimes refer to, is actually her referring to what she was kind of talking about, certain rumors that were spreading, and how she didn't want that to become the narrative because of those rumors and whatnot. She was not actually saying that was indeed her intent. She was saying those were the rumors being spread. If you read it in full context, you'll see. So this is another lie.
Like at the basis of feminism, it was never for me. So no, I'm.
Yeah, but
I'm
which
not.
of the
Being her
values?
friend, I would like not call her a feminist.
Which of the
either.
values? then tell me
But
the
I
values
do
you
think-
disagree with.
I don't think that
it's like,
you should.
just because I can work doesn't mean I want to. Like someone fought for that right, and I'm like, good for them. They should go to work, but I
She
don't. Really
probably
They
want
could
to.
was
work
racist,
before
yeah.
feminism came around. Where did this idea come from that women couldn't work before there
Well,
was
like you couldn't have a
feminism?
credit card till like
Well, they
what, the
literally
70s?
couldn't.
No,
Like, they couldn't have been.
no. Listen, men were responsible for their wives' debts. They had to pay their wives' debts. So you, as the wife, could go to the local department store and you could buy whatever you wanted to on your husband's credit, and he had to pay the debt.
'Cause we didn't
You
work.
weren't responsible for the debt. So yes, while it's true that they wouldn't give women credit cards, they gave it to the man. The woman could still go spend as much as she wanted to, and never was responsible for the debt in the marriage ever. No debtors ever came for her. She was never responsible for any of it. So there's a give and take. Everything that you look at, so
Well, that's what I'm
you're-
saying. Like
do you know-
the not feminist means
yeah.
like.
But the reason
who
you
fought
believe
for that
this,
to change.
the reason you believe this, and the reason you think that this is why the world works is because of what's called standpoint theory.
Standpoint.
Standpoint theory.
Oh,
So what
boy.
standpoint theory is it's a feminist theory which says that history, because it's subjective, women's history needs to be told only through the prism of a woman and how a woman thinks about it, rather than what's objectively true. So they'll leave stuff like that completely out. So I brought with me on my phone, I don't know if I can pull it out, but an old suffragette flyer, which was counter arguments to the people who were out
I'm curious to see where he's going to go with this, but what?
trying to get the right to vote, right?
Okay.
And you can see the arguments then. Hey, if we get $1 million in inheritance, we don't have to share it with our husband. That was one of the arguments that was
Ooh,
used
okay.
against the suffragettes because it was true. And they weren't responsible for debt, and they didn't have any of these problems, right? So the standpoint theory kind of pollutes it. When you guys are talking about, the reason I ask you what do you think it is and then which values you disagree with, because all the values stated, I don't believe you disagree with them.
And why would you? Why would you think that you, based on the definition that you gave about what a feminist is, why would you disagree with anything that you said?
Okay, I'm talking about.
Like right now, feminism today, not
Right.
feminism
Which is
during the
still-
suffrage movement. I don't
still
believe that's the same definition.
Okay, if it's not the same definition, I'm a little bit curious to know what you're. Again, I don't identify as a feminist.
No, I'm asking
but
based
I
on your
know
definition, what you gave when you asked.
why don't identify
Yeah,
as a feminist.
like, what's
and
wrong
like
with
I just
that?
said, because first of all, the origins of the feminism.
Right, but we're not talking about the origins, right?
I'm getting to your point.
Okay.
Let me talk.
Go ahead.
The origins of the feminist movement, I don't identify with them. So naturally, as it progresses, that's something that I don't identify with in name, but in practice, I don't think that like because you have a penis and I have a vagina, you're better than me or I'm better than you. I think we're equal. So
Based?
feminism, I mean, if we're talking about when it started a long time ago, when women needed a little bit more protection, you needed a little bit more. Like we're compared to like women in the 1800s, like we have it very good. Like
That's
I
what I'm
can wear
saying, though,
crop
like,
top.
the
So I'm
feminists-
saying that came out from a time when things were so much different. So for me to it came from such an extreme. Women needed a
I've never seen somebody struggle so hard with just answering like whether or not they're a feminist or how they don't agree with modern day feminism.
different type of feminism than whatever is needed today. And like for me, there's women that are getting castrated and like what is it called when you can't have babies, mutilated. I don't have that problem. You don't have that problem. You don't have that problem. But
Baby
in
boys have
some
that problem,
places,
though.
I don't even agree with circumcision in baby boys. I think it's crazy, but that's neither here nor there. But in some places, there are some girls who need someone to stand up and say that just because you're a girl doesn't mean you have to be subjected to this. Does that mean I'm a feminist? I don't know. I don't identify with feminism because it was never for me. I don't have to label myself to feel my viewpoints. Like I don't need like a big
so that's-
thing hanging
well, that's
over it
fair.
to
So,
define it.
but
But
what-
it can
yeah.
be intersectional, which
Yeah,
is
but
what I'm saying.
What she's saying, what her point is, and mine too, is to say that if the word, and we're saying the word means those same values that you state.
What does it mean to you?
Well, hang on.
I'm just
hang
curious.
on. Just let me finish. If it
can tell you
means
what it
the
means to
same
me.
values that you state that you believe in, right? When we're applying the word, we're applying the word to mean all those things you said. So we're not talking past each other. You're just saying, I don't identify it based on this other value that I have, but you haven't really said what the value is.
I'm okay. And I'm very devil's advocate, so I'm not like against what you're saying, but I'm really trying to.
I feel like she dug herself into this pit for no reason, where she's like, I don't identify as a feminist, really, okay? But I agree with everything that feminism teaches. It wasn't really meant for me because it was only for white women, which isn't even true, especially not anymore. So, well, it was true at the time, sorry, but it's certainly not true anymore. It doesn't make any sense. I feel like she may be regretting taking this route. I think she may have been trying to be like nuanced and whatever, but like instead kind of just got herself stuck.
It would help me answer you if you told me what you define feminism as, because again,
Why do you need my definition to know your definition?
well, because you just called me a feminist, so I'm just
Yeah, but
curious.
why-
what-
She doesn't think
I'm
she's a
just
feminist.
curious
But why
what
would-
you're
but
basing
listen,
that off
from a,
of.
from a,
And
from a
I'm
logical,
listening 'cause
hang
we're
on, from a
having a
logical
conversation.
perspective,
From a logical-
you wouldn't need me to tell you the definition of a thing. I asked you for a definition of to know your definition of the thing.
I feel like this is like, is it
Okay, so I'll
nihilism?
just tell you
Is
what,
that the
what
right
I
word
think
for it?
what I think
I'm
feminism
just asking
is.
because we're having a
Feminism to
conversation, I'm just
me,
curious.
feminism to me, and feminism broadly is the pushing of an egalitarian society based around the equality of men and women.
Is that the most generous definition that you give it?
That's the most generous one I could possibly give.
So so you don't you don't think that, I'm assuming you don't think that men and women are equal, correct?
No.
Okay, which is okay.
No,
You're allowed
I
to-
don't. I
No,
don't
no,
think
it's okay.
I don't think that egalitarianism is true. I don't think that equality is real. I don't think any of those things are true. I don't think any
Do you
of them
think
are
So who do
equality
you think
should
is
be
the,
real?
No.
You think is who do you think is?
I don't think. Well, I don't even think it's possible. You want me to tell you how? Farah knows. Farah knows what I'm about to say, but I'll tell you. I can tell you how. I can tell you how men and women can't be equal. You want me to tell you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
If you are to look at force in society, who would you say has the monopoly on force, men or women?
Men on brute men.
The monopoly. I'm just talking about the
Women on
monopoly.
Easily over.
emotional, maybe.
They're the stronger.
I feel like
ones.
things are set up for men, but
Can you indicate a time in history ever, in the history of all of mankind, where men didn't have the monopoly on force?
on force, as
like-
in like physical force, though, correct?
Like
Always, they're
physical
always stronger
force.
than
Yeah.
us.
oh, then yeah.
That's the biology.
They have the monopoly on physical force. So the question, when you come down to rights, is who can enforce rights. Women can't enforce their own rights. Men have to enforce women's rights. So there can never be real equality. There can
Okay,
never be real
this is-
Literally,
egalitarianism.
what the?
Men are. I just want to say, men are a little bit more very. That is like so violent in.
So here's the big flaw with this. Violence is not really necessary, all the time at least, to enforce rights. Not to mention the way that violence is carried out now, in the case of wars, women are usually pretty capable in. Generally speaking, women are pretty good on the battlefield also. A lot of rights are enforced via the government, right? We fight and we protest for what we want. So just to act like because women aren't as strong, because they wouldn't be able to win in a fight, we must fight. They can't enforce their own rights. You don't just need violence to enforce rights.
Every society, of course, you need force, but the fact that you feel like you're in because you're stronger than someone,
falling
or you
right
can
into it.
overpower them, you're more entitled
No.
to some
no,
sort of
hang on,
thing.
listen, so that you get it real quick. Hang on, just hear me out.
Okay, yeah.
Inside of your society,
Okay.
you have rights, right? Those rights need to be enforced, right? So somebody doesn't violate them, right? Who's the enforcement
But
arm?
women's
Women's
usually
rights were mostly
physically.
It
created
is
though
usually physically.
in response
What
to
do you
men.
do?
They're female police officers, right? Like, what do you mean? I don't know. Like, is he talking about, I guess, going to war still? I'm not sure.
With criminals.
I mean, you put them in jail, but
And
like,
who does that?
There's never been a female officer ever.
I'm not saying there hasn't been, but who does that? Who puts them in jail? And then who guards them while they're in jail?
I mean,
Men.
I don't want to say that because I know women security guards that are
but
f***ing rappers in
you
jail.
You're speaking always to the exception. You always look to the outlier. It's not that there can't be some women who are on par with some men. It's that as a monolith, men are the grantors of force, the grantors of rights, and here's how. Whenever you need criminals dealt with in society, it's men who are going to be dealing with the criminals.
So
They're
here's
putting
his
them in the
main
jails.
problem, right? Is that it is true that men generally are going to, yes, have the upper hand when it comes to force in general. What he's missing is that although force has been necessary for our rights in the past, it is not the way that we go about instilling further rights, at least right now, not within the government. But he's slimy and bad faith, so I wouldn't really expect anything better.
They're going to be enforcing your laws. They're going to be protecting you while you sleep through the military and through the
I don't
force
disagree.
there.
But have we ever
Women are in
given
the
women the
military.
opportunity
Yes.
to
See,
be in
here's
that
the amazing
place?
part. The amazing part is right now they have all that opportunity and they still can't do it. Meaning,
Can't
I don't
men,
think they do.
men inside, yes, they do. Where do women have less opportunity to become the enforcement arm than men in society right now? Tell me.
The
You
workplace.
just said they have a monopoly on force. And I don't
Well,
disagree.
then
I think
I'm
men are
asking-
protectors, and they like. If I have a husband, he's probably bigger than me. If someone comes to try to fight me, I'm not going to be like, oh, hold on, I got this. I'm going to expect my man to handle
But
it.
that's not my question.
So,
My question is, can women be police officers?
Yes.
Can they be in the
Yes.
military?
Yes.
Okay, can they be the prison guards?
Yes, but can
Okay, so
they
do
do
they
all the
ever
same
have
things?
less opportunity
Yes.
to be in the enforcement arm?
Because there's people
Yes.
in the that employ them that hold up
That's
that
why it's called a
patriarchy.
police
No,
man.
what happens instead is this.
Because
is
they were
that
only men in the
inside of the
beginning.
military and inside the police force and inside all these different enforcement arms, when you include women, you lower the standard. You lower the standard in order to
This is
bring
not
women
true.
in. Meaning the female standards in the military.
Physically?
This is
Yes,
bullshit.
physically. So
but
the standard.
you need nurses in the military. You need women.
You don't need
feminine.
them,
helping us, Yamani.
but they are there.
The main thing they talk about here is they did actually lower the standards for one of the physical tests necessary to get into something with the military. But actually it was because they had recently changed the test after it had been the same for 40 years. And that test was unfairly excluding women and older soldiers and veterans and other people as well. So they realized that the test was just not actually fair. It was not accurate anymore. So then they simply just changed the test back. This also was after there were multiple different investigations as well. So this wasn't just like a woman's here, lower the standards, LOL.
You don't need a nurse in the. You don't need.
You don't need
doctors in the
female
military.
nurses, you could have male
no,
nurses.
No. I'm just going on like more of the traditional
that-
values.
wait.
of, like,
Yeah, what I'm
almost
just
like-
talking
I
about.
thought that men and women are different, and that's what makes us so special. And women have the magical caring touch. Why wouldn't we want a female nurse?
An equalization of force. Men have an overwhelming amount of power and force. And so women can't actually enforce their rights against men, whereas men can change the conditions almost any time they
about the
want
gun?
based on their will because they have enough force.
You don't think that's because that's how it's been set up in time and history for them?
If it wasn't for men,
Skiz
though,
Tech, thank you for the gifted 100 subs.
No, it's not. The reason that it's that way is because men are overwhelmingly physically stronger than women.
who were women's rights protecting us from, though? I'm like a general. Were they protecting women from other women, or women from, as you said, the people who hold the monopoly on brute force?
Well, they're not really protecting anybody from anything because they're an illusion. It's
But
illusory.
if you were to answer my question, the reason that women felt so strongly,
They didn't feel strongly. The suffragettes were a small portion. Most women did not want the right. When I can't even get into this, but most women did not want most of these rights. Okay, I can't get into it for TOS reasons.
Yeah, that's because there was a lot of misinformation being spread around by people that didn't want women to have those rights, that were wrongly telling them that they would have to go into the military, that they would have to enlist, that they would have to do all these things, that it would break up the family. They were being wrongly told that they had to do a bunch of things. They were being told misinformation, which also did stifle part of the movement.
Reasons, but most of them didn't even want them.
I'm not
What ended up
disagreeing.
happening instead was that it was a small collective of very weak men who really pushed through with a lot of money to push feminists and these feminist ideals through. But most women didn't want anything to do with it because, here, let me, if you don't mind, if you'll humor me, let me read these anti-arguments. This is from a original anti-suffrage flyer.
Why were the weak
I am
men
not
Here's,
even a
here's
feminist.
what it
supporting
says.
feminism?
Special
So
privileges. Married women are not required to contribute to support of the family. Women may work, earn money, and spend it as she pleases, may own real and personal property and dispose of it, or
This is literally just the woman can have autonomy even if she's married, and he's reading it like it's a bad thing. The woman can actually make money and spend it how she pleases.
without her husband's knowledge
What a
or
bitch.
consent. The list goes on and on and on. Wife may have millions and cut her husband off without a cent. These do not sound like
that's
women were
crazy.
treated
Couldn't the man have done
poorly
that
or
to
that they
her?
weren't treated as equals. They were treated as different because they are different.
Agreed.
And so what happened instead was that men had the overwhelming burden of responsibility, and they were forced by society, the enforcement arm, which is other men, to do their duty. And women were not forced to do that. And when we see the societal role being reversed, where women are forced instead to take on roles that require duty, they don't want it. They completely reject it. Like she said, it's basically just all me, me, me.
That's what she
And
said.
that's why the roles are so messed up. That's why everything is so reversed. That's why everything is the opposite of what it's supposed to be.
I'm just curious then, why do you still feel like I'm a feminist? I'm just curious.
Okay.
Let's maybe just move on. Let's move on. Let's move. But maybe we can come back to it. I had one quick question for you.
Gaslighting her,
You say
telling
you don't
her
want
what
to
she
date
believes,
men who
and
play
then
video
she does.
games. I don't object to that preference. Would you object to, for example, a man not wanting to date a woman who does OnlyFans?
No.
Okay.
I think that's fair.
Sure.
It's not for everybody.
Okay.
The video games, I think I would just like, I'd be open to it, but I would like really need to see that like you're in control and it's not like an addiction that like comes before your family.
Sure. And bringing it back to, I think, the original question. So we're going around the table asking if everybody was a feminist. I think what I was trying to get at, I think it was primarily you, and then you, Farha, but you also enjoy those more traditional elements. And when you say the traditional elements, would you say like the guy being chivalrous, like paying for first dates?
Yeah, I think guys should pay for first dates and take on a lion's share of the bills.
Lion's share of the bills?
Even if the girl doesn't meet submissive feminine qualities.
Even if the girl doesn't meet submissive feminine
I mean, he
qualities?
doesn't have to. It's his prerogative, but I think it's still congruent with feminism.
I just got shot.
Well, that's my question. How do you reconcile being feminists, which I suppose a typical feminist belief is gender equality, doing away with gender roles? How do you reconcile being feminist, but also demanding men adhere to their more traditional gender roles, such as paying for first dates, chivalry, et cetera, et cetera? How do you reconcile that?
Because feminism is about social spheres to me. So even if women were to occupy 50% of Congress, 50% of leadership roles, were to, 50% CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, that doesn't, affect the fact that if you and I were dating and we were hooking up, I'm the one who has to take birth control so that you can nut at me. If we were to have a kid, I'm the one who has to bear the child.
Are
I'm the
you
one
on
who has
birth
to deal
control?
with. No, I'm not. But or if when we have a child, I'm the one who's going to have my torn open to bear your child. I'm the one who has to breastfeed. So at the end of the day,
sure.
you can only go 50-50 so far, and this idea of going 50-50 in terms of bills is actually just more of a burden on the woman, because you can never go 50-50 in terms of actual reproductive
But that
roles.
assumes that the first person you...
Interesting approach, but wow. All right, coming in here with some heat.
ever date, that ends up becoming your husband and the person you have children with. So
not
also
necessarily,
assumes
even
you
if
can
you're
have
just
children.
hooking up. I mean, birth control increases your chance of breast
So-
cancer
so
by
if I'm
20%.
dating-
Except your hormones. I'm just like altering my body.
But so
for
if
you.
I'm dating a woman who's not on birth control and she doesn't want to have children, under those circumstances, would you be okay with the woman, like a 50-50 dynamic, or even then you'd object to it?
It's not that I would object. I would just say generally, given the dynamics of dating and the idea that usually people are having sex and that women are taking birth control so that the man can have increased
A lot
sexual
of women
pleasure.
are not on birth control.
Okay,
they
well,
still
just
have
give the idea of like a goal of a relationship, which is typically that you're dating to have kids, or you're dating to marry to then have kids. So I'm seeing it more in like a macro sense. I think the idea of 50-50 is ridiculous.
Well, she just went on 100.
If you're just doing hookup culture and whatever she's doing, then I don't think, I think 50-50 seems more fair. Yeah.
What about you? I mean, you just went on 100 first dates in the past 2 months. Do you want a guy to pay for the first date?
I don't want them, but I think this is a great indication of where they are in life. So if somebody doesn't...
Well,
and
earlier
it's
in
their
the
personal
conversation, you said you want a guy who matches you
Exactly.
or exceeds you.
So if they feel like they cannot, or for whatever, I'm just assuming that it's their
Okay.
materialistic situation that doesn't allow them to pay for the date, it's probably not somebody I should be seeing, because it's going to cause tension later on.
Okay.
But that's completely optional. Like
there-
if
if
they
you
want to
wanna-
split,
okay, if
I'll
you-
split it.
Would there be a second date? You might
It
split
depends on how much I like them, because it's not all
So
about
it would
the
be
money.
it would be
Let's
a
get to
negative if a
different
guy
topic.
did.
This is so boring.
Well,
let's
if
get
we're
into-
reading my hate man white tweets, we're gonna be here for a while.
Let's get into it. We'll
Roll
try
the
to move through
clips.
them quick.
Am I supposed to?
But these are some of your tweets. So.
Yes.
Okay. White. Do you want to read them?
White men, I especially don't need your opinion unsolicited. 2019 on
Okay.
brand.
no.
Okay. Why specifically white men? Just curious.
It's always just white men that just like some
Okay.
kind of problem. I grew up in a predominantly mostly like white neighborhood, and it's just like one white man after the next is like always a problem, always starting some shit, always getting in a fight. These are like rich neighborhoods, which I think are like even worse because they
Hey, us white men, first and foremost, like to get in fights every now and again, okay? It's boring being this privileged. Don't tweet stuff like this, man. I hate this cringy, wokey, like, oh, I don't need the white man's opinion.
Okay.
the most times I've been in danger, the most like anything like bad things is like always happening around white men.
What?
Wait a minute,
The most times that
you're
you've
contradicting
been in-
yourself. You said you grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood and predominantly white area. So then, yeah, odds are if you're in a predominantly white area, if you encounter somebody that's also creepy or dangerous or bad, they might also be white. This is common sense.
So let me ask you this: have you lived in predominantly non-white areas?
Now, yes, and I'm usually the only white person in most places I go to, so I feel much more comfortable.
Well, just for the sake of getting through all the tweets, we have a ton, so maybe we'll. Okay, next, Nick. Men are pigs.
Yes, Men Are Pigs, 2014. Okay, low-key, I was like 16 there, so like,
2014?
okay, still not wrong, but
A
Really?
little misandrist, maybe. Don't you
Dude,
think?
cancel culture. Oh my God.
Just a little bit.
men
Wait,
are
hold
so
on.
gross. They really are, though.
Wait, what?
I don't
Men
like
are-
this
Men
kind
are
of
gross.
talk. Let's kind of talk about men.
Don't you think it's a little, maybe a little sexist to say that?
Yeah, probably.
Well, before you answer that,
That's a good
do the
question.
girls do the girls at the table agree with what she's saying?
I love man.
Wait, sorry, what did you say?
She said men
I
are
said
gross.
men are gross.
And
You
men
know,
are
they
trash.
fart and leave hair places.
Yeah,
and
women
they
never
don't
do that, right?
fart.
like they're dirtier.
I guess that's true statistically. Yeah, they tend to
Well,
have worse hygiene.
yes, but
Like I'm not saying like gross, get away from
They
me.
menstruate and they put their hair in the drains and they, et cetera, et cetera, et
But
cetera.
we'll go further lengths to hide it. Like
God.
we could poop and then we'd run out the street like 2 miles down to a Starbucks at 6 a.m. Try to come back, brush our teeth, and pretend like we never
Okay,
went on
okay,
that
look, I have 5
adventure.
thoughts.
Are we kidding? Are we actually going to do like, well, boys are grosser than girls? Well, girls are grosser because they have tampons. Well, boys have hair. Are we back in kindergarten right now?
There's 5. Okay? And what I'm telling you right now is that the mystery of femininity and their grossness. Yeah.
But
you're
leaves
their
I know,
women-
I know
dad.
all about it.
Yeah,
I
my
know all
dad's
about
You're
it.
their
my
dad.
parts
Like
too.
you're gonna
Like
see
my
that.
Yeah, there's
you
no
know?
mystery to
But you're not their
femininity
husband.
we got some more tweets. We got some more tweets here, so I'll just have
Okay.
you continue reading them.
Here's your monthly update. June update. Men are still trash. Facts.
What was this?
Okay, men are okay. Next, I guess.
November forecast. Men are still trash. I do
wonder
the
if-
monthly update. Like it's my service to
Do
the
you
people.
do you agree with that though?
I'm laughing because honestly, a lot of the people in your chat are almost saying the same thing, like opposite. A few of them, so I just think it's funny.
If there's any
I'm
men,
sure they have a
but-
lot of
well, okay,
reactions.
if there-
I shit on, but don't we shit on this podcast because they say stuff like that about women? Women are trash. You can't trust women. Women are bad. Women are gross. Women are conniving. We recognize that it's wrong when the red pillars do this to women. Why are these girls not able to recognize that it's wrong to do the same thing to men? It's incredibly hypocritical. It's everything that I hate with this woke shit.
If there's any men in the chat that are saying women are trash, I object.
I'm
to
not-
that.
I wasn't saying that you agree. I just
I know,
think
but I
it's
just want to
funny.
point out I would object to a man in the chat or any man saying that women are trash.
I wouldn't object to it now.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, that was a joke. That was a joke. Oh wait, that's not.
Was it?
He's joking.
I'm kidding,
Okay.
joking.
Okay.
Okay, next tweet.
Joking.
Wait.
Men treat your women with respect and love.
Oh, my.
They disagree.
I don't object to that really, but should women treat their men with respect and love?
Okay,
Yeah.
I hate that it's like 2010, but I guess since they're gonna dig this up and she's going with it, okay. This is really ironic after saying that men are trash. Ew, men are disgusting. Men, treat your women with love and respect. I didn't say I have to do it back though. Tee-hee.
It's a two-way street.
Okay, next. Okay, that's fine.
Update. Men are still trash. This is
Your
to
opinion is very wrong. Not every man is same.
Okay, all right. Next.
men. Okay, but can we get like current ones? Like these are from when I was in high school.
Thank you.
Okay, hold on. 28. You're 28. This was
Okay.
2018, so you were 22.
2 years. Okay, 2 years after high
22.
school. 20, right?
Well, no. What? 2018.
2014.
2018.
Okay, you're
2018.
right.
2019.
Yes,
It's like
okay.
6 years ago. Okay. Next.
20. Men have the most fragile egos. True.
That might be true.
Do you think you're projecting a little bit?
Men have pretty fragile.
Not really.
Okay.
I don't
Next.
Just
feel it.
asking.
Next.
I mean, that's a good question. Besides
Men have pretty fragile egos. I think that's. I don't think that's that disputable.
white men in general, nothing triggers me more when a white man tells me to keep it up when I'm working out. Oh yeah, I hate that.
The reason
white
I
guys,
asked-
literally all the time.
White men encouraging you while you're working out. Oh wow, nothing you hate more. You sound like a very unpleasant person.
I'll work out and they'll come up to me and like be like, good job, keep going, you got this. But like they'll pass Yamani or like someone else behind me or in front of me and says nothing to them. Again,
Well,
it's
could
most-
you think of a reason why that might be? Off the
because
top of your
they're
head?
amazed that a fat person does exercise.
Right. So it's I mean, what? But think
So
about that for a
you-
second though. Like what you
She's
just
just
said.
pointing
Like that's
out
like if
how-
you were in the 50s and like watched like a black person drink out of a white water fountain, you're not gonna be like,
No,
good
It's
for
a little
you.
different.
No, it's
Okay.
not
A
like
little
that.
Maybe a little different.
An
Could
example,
be a little
if I
different.
change my hair because
What are you doing
Yeah,
to the
maybe a little
microphone,
different.
lady? You're literally rubbing your
I'm sleeping.
concealer on the tip of the microphone. It's
I'm cuddling with it.
haram.
Do you mind?
You're so high maintenance. Okay.
We didn't even start dating, Brian.
What's that? What? We didn't even. Okay. All right. It was a joke. Okay. Let's continue with the.
I
the
do agree a
tweets.
little bit with you. I think that white men, generally speaking, have a higher chance getting away with being insensitive. That's
What?
all I have to say.
Today?
I'm not sure about
no,
that.
about her
but-
tweets. But other than
No, I
that,
know, but I'm
I
saying
love
like
men
today. You think that? You think that white men get away with saying insensitive things more than other people?
Yes.
more than other.
I'm not sure
Right
about
now,
that.
today.
I'm not sure
Yes.
about. I'm not
Oh
sure
my
about
God,
that.
y'all are
Like if you look
crazy.
at rap music, like if I were to call a woman the B word.
Yeah, what? Are
That's
you talking
subjective
about?
though because
it's
I use
different.
bitch all
That's
the
not fair.
time.
That's not
I
fair.
even have that debate with my
Subjectivity
therapist.
is like whatever
subjective.
you.
I
It's
also
gonna make
think
your
It's a
life, your
subjective
point
metric,
easier.
you know?
to
Like,
use
men.
rap music to
Well, because in rap music,
it
I feel like I'm listening to a sitcom right now. Listen, I even had that debate with my therapist, okay? I kid you not. I fought my therapist on this one. We had a thumb war on it.
You'd be throwing around the word.
But that's a
They do, and
predominantly
it's
black thing, and we're
crazy.
talking about white men right now.
Okay, let's continue
Yeah,
with the tweets.
but the contrast
But
is
why
to
does it
ask the
why does it matter what
question
their
of-
race is? It's not okay.
Well, they're
But a
asking
white
about, like,
guy
how
could
men
make a rap
tweets,
song
and
and
he's
do
reading
that.
up
and
rap.
it's still
but
not
that's, like,
okay.
Yo, shout out Eminem, what's up?
Yeah, they're just
But
talking
it is
about-
because it's
I
talking
rap,
about a
like-
rap
Shout
song.
out. You rap?
I rap.
Oh, pause the show. Pause the fucking show. Let's hear
God.
something.
Oh, no.
What do you? I don't know.
Let's go. Come on, drop it. Drop it. Drop it. Drop it. Come on, come on, come on. Let's hear the rap.
Imagine if I
Let's
did that.
hear the.
Okay. Okay. Wait.
You got it.
Okay. Let me see. Can't hold my breath, can't hold my tongue. Think I'm naive or really that dumb? Life in the trap, already so rough. You're lucky I'm flossing and don't have my gun. It's on and it's popping, get ready to run. One time before, already too much. I cut the cords and I'm calling your bluff.
actually
I was
doesn't
so
sound
lucky.
that bad.
Lucky for what?
That actually doesn't sound that bad.
That was dope. That was the shit.
You have to do a mic
Yo.
tip.
Boom. That was the shit, son. Okay.
Didn't actually sound that
next
bad.
tweet.
I was expecting worse. I'm not gonna
Ew,
lie.
you're so disgusting. Hashtag men. 2015.
Lol-
Ooh, that was a tough
Little
year.
misandrous, don't you think? Okay.
What?
Nice.
Sorry, what does misandrous mean?
It's the opposite of misogyny. The
Okay.
hatred, contempt
Ooh, okay.
of men.
God cursed me with a middle-aged and African men hitting on me.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's like 2010. That's like
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
that's 8th grade.
No,
But
hold on.
I love
22.
African men.
No, they can be a
Ow,
lot.
it didn't sound like you
18
liked
and
him that much
17.
then.
Well, that's also when I was growing up at like 7th grade Republican. So
Okay. Do you want to go ahead?
men are disgusting pigs. I'm sick to my stomach.
Why are they
Like how you
showing these
emphasize
old
this.
ass?
Like these are how they sounded in my head.
Now,
No,
granted,
exactly.
I will grant you that was in 2011. Do you still feel that way?
Not so much now. I mean, that realistically, I was 14 during that time.
Nice.
Well, you know, you said
Hesitating.
you're 28, so 2011. That,
2010.
Well, that most recent one I think was 2011. Wait.
Okay. So that's
on.
a year after 8th grade.
10 years ago.
15.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, my math- sorry,
I grew up in a very
math is
conservative, like,
terrible.
racist
That's
ass, like
pretty
neighborhood
pathetic.
area.
Orange
I grew up in Orange County.
We had some OC girls,
And
actually.
so I used to be like a whole different person. And
Shout out OC.
you wouldn't. I can
I like how they're unironically engaged in cancel culture right now. This is what cancel culture looks like. They're just like digging up old tweets.
see those tweets. I
Let's
get
see
it.
the tweets. See the more tweets.
The real world makes me hate men
Now,
even more.
are you talking about
the show?
The show. Okay.
Yeah.
okay. But it makes you. The show makes you hate. men.
Yeah, but now I know more about reality TV, and I've
Even
been on
more than you
reality TV to know.
Already did. Okay. Next.
Yes. Today I wish I had a little shirt that said "I hate men." That'd be so cute in a
2017.
crop top.
2017. Is it hilarious?
Yes.
Would you, if
He's
I had a
kidding a
shirt that said
little.
"I hate women," would that be hilarious?
That'd be low key
I'm
iconic.
laughing because I've just known her for so long, and I just think it's funny that she's.
Is it funny?
I think it's sad.
I'm laughing, so it is.
Well, there's no
But
homicidal misandrous. Like if you wore a shirt that said "I hate women," you'd be akin to like people like Christopher Harper Mercer, Elliot Rogers, incels who have actually left those kind of posts on Facebook and then killed like a dozen women.
I think you have something for this, Andrew.
No, I'm just saying
Yeah,
that a
well,
woman
this
has never
would-
said "I hate men" and then gone and killed 12
Just
men.
No, they
because-
do. They just do it in their nursing roles. See, what they do is they do it over time in nursing roles and in roles where they're supposed to be taking care of children, things like this. That's when women kill.
Wait, can you elaborate?
Yeah. So, for instance, women who are in roles where they're taking care of children, okay, whatever that role is, far more likely in those roles, right, to hurt those children over time.
The male
I'm talking
children?
about the homicidal.
Are you
ones.
talking?
Yeah.
Are you
Any
talking?
child.
Male children.
Yes.
This
the
is
male
little
Specifically,
children.
specific
Oh my
men.
god.
what I'm saying is that
Infant-
women kill, they just kill differently. So when you're like, the hatred towards women is an indicator that the men are going to hurt women. It's like, well, but it's an indicator both ways. It's just that.
This doesn't make any sense, by the way, because you're saying women are in these caregiving positions. Women predominantly make up the majority of people in these caregiving positions. Women are more likely to hurt the kids? No, it's that if women are more, or if women are predominantly in these caregiving positions, then that means that women are more likely going to be the ones who are hurting the kids because they're the ones who are with the kids at higher rates. He's not even like interpreting general statistics correctly.
Because women kill differently and much more sadistically, in my opinion, it's even more sadistic. That's not to
course,
say that
it's
they
more
don't,
evil, in
if they
your
have a
opinion.
problem towards men, kill them, because they clearly do. They just do it in capacity of caregiver, nurse,
Wait, you're
things
saying
like
they
this.
disproportionately harm male children.
Where's the
Well, if
evidence,
they
please?
hate men, yes.
Also,
That's
But
the
you
thing.
also
There's a statistic that women are disproportionately hurting male children. In
Well, yeah.
caregiver
Well, let
roles.
me give you an easy example of them disproportionately hurting male children. A lot of female teachers, do they think they have sex with more male children or female children.
And you think those are the type of women who are wearing a shirt that maybe says "I hate men," like, and that they test positive for misandry?
That's not what your question was.
It was related to him
That
saying
was
whether
not
a
your
shirt would
question.
be any type of indication.
No, you're changing the goalpost. Your question specifically, your question to me specifically was, are you saying that women harm male children more?
Because that was in response to the idea that
And
if a
then the
man
answer-
wears a
okay,
shirt
but the
that says
answer
"I
is
hate
yes,
women,"
they
it's
do
usually
harm them more.
it's usually correlated to being in an incel community, which does
What?
is a
No,
maybe
it's
are a
not.
Can I
proponent of
Or-
violence
just
against
say-
women.
So are you fine with the shirt?
I didn't say I was fine with it. I'm just saying you're trying to make it. You drew an analogy and said it was a pure parallel to say having a shirt that says "I hate women," and I'm saying it's not.
It is. It's
It's not.
It is
But
the
you,
pure-
you
what
but
would
I
be the
also
pure
want to
parallel?
be real with me.
What? No. What would be the pure parallel?
There is no pure parallel because as much as she tweets men are gross, she's never going to be so incentivized that she goes and kills 12.
actually the
even
difference.
How do you know that?
Even if
No.
she's curbed
Here's-
by 12 boys in 1 year, she's never going to go kill. That just doesn't happen.
How do you know
That okay, hold on.
Where are the stories?
But-
Where are the
but-
statistics?
Caregiver positions, they do kill. I don't know where you
But
come
they're
up with
not,
this
and then
idea.
show a tweet of those caregivers saying, "I hate men." We're drawing a correlation
Oh,
between misandry and disproportionately harming
Are
men.
you serious? There's whole books that are devoted on this topic about how female serial killers are often they're mad at men because they were abused or because of any number of different problems they have with men specifically.
like male
it's a huge
serial
red flag.
killers
Okay,
Like
male,
we have-
female
For
serial
instance, if
killers
I
are
was-
espousing
so,
misandry.
so let me get. So here, I'll give you an example of this. Let's say that I had a nurse. I was like in a hospital laid up or something. And I went on this nurse's Twitter, and it had all the tweets that were like this. Think that wouldn't be a red flag for me to be like, maybe don't come in my room and play with my IV. Maybe don't come in here and change my drip.
Okay, I'll give you that. That's like a fair
Right.
thing. But also,
But-
I want you guys to be really real with me right now.
What are you talking about?
Those tweets, majority of them, let's be real, 2010, 2018, I'm still living at home. I have a father who punches me in the face,
That's
strangles
wrong.
me,
That's
throws
wrong.
furniture at me, beats me up against an oven, does all sorts of things, killed me almost 3 times.
That's
like
wrong.
all these things. You don't think, I'm not saying those are right, but you don't think me tweeting at 14 being like, "I hate men" is like the worst thing? Like,
Look,
it's like a
You
diary.
weren't 14 though.
It's a,
You were.
that-
Okay, yeah, this is why this cancel culture thing is pathetic. But I don't know why it's so hard to just for some of the people on this panel to just say, yeah, no, it's bad to say you hate men. You shouldn't paint with such a broad brush. No, just like you don't hate women, you don't hate men.
but those were chronics between 14 and 20 years
But you
old
have
of when I still
you
lived
have
in.
much more recent posts where you say men are trash, men are gross,
Yeah.
men suck. Those are much more
But
recent.
not only that, he asked you this, right? So
But-
this is fine to give that qualifier.
And I also said I was coming out of my man-hating phase.
Yeah, hey, it's fine for you to have that qualifier, and I'll say, okay, sure, that's a fair qualifier, except he asked you literally 5-6 minutes ago, hey, do you still feel this way? And you were like,
Kinda.
Yeah, kinda.
Well, you
so
like
it's
were
like,
jumping
well,
up and down for him to read
I'm
them,
just-
so it doesn't really matter when they were written if you
I mean,
still
because
feel
I
the
think
same
they're
way.
hilarious.
But you think it's
Okay, that's
funny to
weird.
say that men are trash, men are gross.
We're seeing the Andrew Tate thing play out again too. It was a long time ago. It was a sarcasm. I think it was funny. It was old. It was like, commit to a position, please.
I would actually argue, I mean, because you were saying, well, what's the impact? It's pretty shocking to me that, for example, if a man were to say those same things, you just replace man with women. You would get in major trouble. You'd get canceled.
But
But here she is. She's a supermodel.
there's also-
her
sorry.
own words. You're booking gigs. You've got all these like.
Booked and busy.
That's cancelable. That would be a cancelable offense if you were a man to
But
say.
that's
I mean,
also
to be-
backed by like how you said men are the almost sheer enforcers of power. They're
what?
stronger than us. So if going back to what you said, men are always stronger than women. They're always the bigger ones. They can enforce everything. So if we use those parallels and a man is tweeting that, you can look at it from the lens that he can actually enforce "I hate women." He can actually go overpower women versus from you and what you said
But
about
most men
the
don't.
power dynamics. First of all,
What?
I didn't say
I need
that
to see
every
those
man goes
statistics.
and beats and hurts women, but if you think that you think that
No.
there's no violence against
Yeah.
women just for
I'm
having
not
a
saying that
vagina,
there's not.
and there's a violence against there is violence.
I'm not saying there isn't.
and I'm just
Yeah.
saying
Here,
there's
but-
violence against femininity, and I'm just hold on. If you switch the tweets, statistics would show that if a man's expressing those things, it might be come out a little bit more violent and a little bit more dangerous than a woman. This is just
Let me ask you
Well,
guys.
also being part of the
hold on.
LGBT community,
Okay, that's
this is
relevant,
kind
that's
of
relevant,
like,
relevant. Let's not get into the weeds here. Do you guys know who Andy Warhol is?
yes,
Okay. What happened to Andy Warhol?
like in terms of what? Death, life.
He was
art?
murdered.
Yeah,
By
a woman.
who was a raging anti-male
Feminist.
feminist. She wrote a book called The Scum Manifesto.
Yes.
Her name was Valerie Solanas.
Yes.
So this idea that women are not capable of violence or
I
that
didn't
they
say
don't
that.
inflict
Who
violence.
said that?
But
just
but
showed us- I don't
this
know. You just said that
misandry.
you're
Hold on,
writing a
no, hold on.
manifesto versus tweets between
Well, no,
14
it's
No,
not
no,
just
but
that.
but Farha was
A
making the
manifest.
point. Farha was
It's literally so easy to come to an agreement here. Yes, misogyny results in far more harm. Misandry probably doesn't right now. However, when it comes to optics and principles, I don't think it's really a very good approach to say that you hate men or that men are trash, just like I wouldn't say that you hate women or that women are trash. I think that there are better ways to critique certain issues with masculinity without painting men with a broad brush. Just like I'd say the same thing with women.
Making the point that
But they both just don't want to
misandry does
give
not
up
lead to
anything.
violence when actually it
It's
has.
you
it
look at the
does.
statistics.
I think what she was trying to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's less likely.
Yeah, but let's
to lead
just
to
assume.
violence.
Let's assume for a second that none of
being
that's true. But
purposely
let's just assume it
obtuse.
is. Let's just say that it was only less likely by 10%.
Okay.
Right?
That's a
Who
big chunk of
Yeah,
people.
but who cares? That's still a massive. It would still be a massive
Alright,
problem and a
so let's
massive
start,
red
right?
flag for you to say, yes, women do it too. They act out with misandry. They just do it 10% less than men. So what? Wouldn't it still be a massive red flag that we should watch out for and still look at it the same way we would
If
at
I'm
men?
being very honest, a lot of men usually like that I say that stuff because
What?
Yeah, the reason being is they think it deters other men. So they're like, oh, the woman
Whoa.
who hates men chose me. She must love me.
They think she won't cheat because she's a misandrist, is what
That
she's saying.
is-
And so
the
most guys that
That's
I
crazy.
love when I say that, they're like, oh my, yeah, like you're only with me. I'm special. I know it sounds crazy, but that
I mean,
more
that
often-
checks out, but also I want to point out a
about that?
It
difference.
doesn't check out, but
When
okay.
she's tweeting, I hate men, she's saying it because it's chic. And like she pointed out, she was participating
It's
in hookup
chic.
culture because of Cardi B. It's not because I don't think she actually has, if you were to put her on a like lie detector test, I don't think she actually has hatred towards men. I don't think she actually, I don't think she
I don't
actually
think
gets
that's
off
true.
on
I don't think
violence
that's
towards
true.
men. I
I
think a
think
lot
we
of
should
men
take
though
people
who
at
do
face
have those
value.
shirts, I think they do feel rejected from women. I think they feel ostracized in society, and I think they do have
That's-
uniquely bad feelings towards women. I 100% would bet my life that she does not, and girls who tweet things like that are just trying to be fashionable.
Well,
The only
it's-
person
why
I
are you
ever
talking
wanted
on
to like
her
hurt was
behalf?
my
Like,
father.
why are you making
and
these
now-
assumptions?
It's a panel. What?
But I mean, she's pretty like on the spot with
No,
that.
but you can't walk back.
But that's why I
Now that
mentioned
you're
gay
being-
culture, because in gay
that-
culture, being for the girls, gays, and theys, that like what she's saying.
Even
it's
gay
a-
men
it's a-
tweet, like,
it's
"I
a
hate
statement.
boys, I
It's a
hate
tr-
men."
it's a
Exactly,
trend,
yeah.
and that no offense, but I want to
And-
I think it's
expect
corny
you to
and they shouldn't
understand
say
that.
it, but it's not at all parallel to misogyny.
And how?
At some
I
point,
don't know
degrading
what
and
it is.
making jokes about your wife or whatever was almost as fashionable as saying "I hate men." Like back in the
But-
days, men would
but-
sit
and-
around
Like,
and
oh,
Wait,
women, right?
Hold on,
Just to
provides
address-
a breeding
just to
ground
address-
for
wait,
the
wait,
violence
hold
that we're
on.
speaking
Okay,
about.
okay. But to address your point that it's chic or cool or quirky to hate men, how emblematic is it of a just failure of society that men are not given respect and that it's a joke to hate men, that it's acceptable to hate men? That would be bigger evidence of male because
I think she said it's not right. It's a bummer, but it's not the same as misogyny. It doesn't amount to the same. Which I can get where she's saying. They're making stronger arguments.
if
now.
you say, I hate women, the forces of feminism will descend upon you and you're going to get canceled, you'll get kicked out of school, you're going to lose opportunities, but nobody bats an eye if a woman says things that are misandric or hateful towards men.
First of all, that's not true. I
It's
think you should take a look at the
absolutely true.
streaming community.
What?
Kik is just drenched in misogyny and people making like anti-women jokes. They're
Yeah,
still
but
being
it's
on
just
platforms.
quirky.
Well,
No, it's not.
No,
It
my
really
point
is
was he
not.
was
No,
saying they would
it's
get
just
canceled.
quirky.
The history of violence
He was saying
against
they
women
won't- he was saying
is
they
way
won't be
more
deplatformed
extreme
for it.
than
They're not
men.
going to be deplatformed.
According to you guys, your argument is this is just quirky, right? This is just quirky.
I think there's truth
we're
to it.
funning. We're funning, right?
Yes,
And so, okay,
that's
so
what I
if
was
I
saying.
give
I
the
think it's fine.
argument back,
I think it's fine for those Kik boys to say that because I think they're just
What are
poking
they
fun. I
saying,
think they're being
though?
stupid. I don't think it's.
but let me ask you a question. Let's assume what she's saying is not a joke. Is it still funny?
It's half true.
If women were to mean it, it's one thing. I don't think she means it because these women are still down bad for male attention. I think the guys who do say I hate women, I think they genuinely feel it because they feel rejected and
Based on
ostracized
what?
by women.
What
Men,
evidence-
okay, let's put it this way.
What evidence do you
Like
have
a
for that?
girl will be like,
That's a good point. I think that they're making good arguments now. They're definitely getting the upper hand here.
oh, that guy blew me off, or he like slept with my best friend, and then you're
I
like,
hate
oh,
men.
I
Yeah.
hate men.
Yeah, they say
and
that.
then like a girl will literally not give you her number, and he'll murder you and follow you home.
When men
What
say
percentage?
happen,
What
I've been
percentage? What
essayed
percentage?
5 times, and it's all from rejection.
First
Guys
off,
don't
it's terrible
handle
that that
rejection
happens.
too,
However,
that's true.
the example that you gave was that women are just en masse, wholesale, getting murdered for rejecting men.
That's not what
That's
they
very
said.
rare. It does happen. It does happen, but that's an extremely
Modest Geeky
exceptional
donated
case.
Then I must be like the biggest outlier.
They were like, this thing happens to women more. You're saying that women are like murdered all the time because of this? No, that's not what they said.
Today.
you're emotionally close to that, right? So I understand that you're emotionally close to it, but disconnect being emotional from it for a second.
Okay.
Let us assume for a second that you can agree with me that at least some women, just some, who will make tweets like this and are misandrous, will act out in a way which is harmful to males by either poisoning them, perhaps, like has been done in the
Yes.
past, or things like, okay, so
conflated,
even if you just grant that it's some, even if it's only 10% of what it is for men, or 30% of what it is for men, then you would still have to look at it and say, that's also bad and shouldn't happen the same way you would for men, right?
No, because the disparity in percents is what makes the difference.
Why is-
Disparity.
no.
So big.
That's
and
ridiculous.
we're not talking about like
Why?
oh, the past
Wait,
When men
why?
hate women, they're watching
thousands of
violent,
years.
torturous porn of women. Like, don't you think there are just stronger correlations between misogyny and actually
No.
getting off on women being
Here, I'll prove
harmed
it to
than
you.
her? I don't think she would feel any joy watching a man get beaten porn. But I think men who say I hate women, they are watching torture
Hang on,
porn.
I'll prove it to you. I'll prove it to you. So let's take. I got to frame my language carefully here. But let's assume for a second that one of those school events, you know what I'm talking about, right? A school event perpetrated
okay.
by a man.
Okay.
Okay. One of those types of events.
Certain type of man.
Let's assume we're going to say like almost all of them are done by men, right? But like let's say hypothetically that 10 or 20% of them are done by women. Any of the tweets that would lead you down the same primrose path of thinking about men in that category that would lead to you thinking they would do that, whatever women tweeted out the same things that were similar to that, shouldn't it be the same red flag?
Yeah. I mean, if you're tweeting
Did
murderous
we find
things,
the I love men tweets?
Well,
literally the I love
one
dick.
is a call to
The I love
action
dick
or an
tweets are all over
announcement.
there.
You're incriminating yourself.
No, not always. They're not. They don't always incriminate themselves by saying I'm going to go do this thing, but they have red flag like behavior that leads to them doing the thing.
But earlier I even told you I had the chance to murder my father and I didn't, and I could have gotten away with it in self-defense.
Gotta be careful in that language, right?
But like
So-
I literally had the opportunity and had the chance
What
to get
does
away
this
with it,
mean?
and I didn't do it.
Yeah, I know, but try to understand the kind of the way that you're
So you're
making your
proving
arguments.
that not every girl that
Kind of the way
cheats
you're
on-
making your arguments and pushing your kind of.
Okay. Sorry for the abrupt ending here, but I don't think we can listen to this babble anymore. Farah by far made the best argument here and held up the conversation the best.